Hey everybody, welcome to Greater Day Cafe. We're back.
Yay.
And we're so glad to be back. Listen, I enjoy coming to you as much as we can. Right now it looks like it's twice a month, but we appreciate you clicking and watching. So we appreciate you watching all of our shows. They're all video on demand. That means you can click and watch whenever you want. Click and watch the show as many times as you need. When something's really good, you just keep watching it. You get it down. It's like that favorite song. You keep listening. And so don't be afraid to click and watch multiple times. Trust me, you won't hurt us. You're only helping us. So we welcome that. As always, our goal is to bring you 30 minutes of fun, inspirational insight. I hope you've gotten a chance to watch the past shows. Our past radio shows are still posted. So you can listen to our past radio shows. You can watch our past video on demand shows. All of it, anytime you want. Where do you do it? At Dr. D Greater Day Cafe. So when you go to Dr. D Greater Day Cafe, you can watch all of this. My ultimate objective is to help you. I'm passionate about you living a greater day. I just believe that's a part of my call. Everybody has a part of the call, a call rather. Some people are called to make sure that the pets are safe. And I appreciate your call. It's not mine, but I appreciate that call because that's less cats around my front door. So thank you for supporting organizations that help us to keep our pets safe and all of that. But my call is to help you live a greater day, addressing all of these different issues that relate to your personal life. So that's my calling. It's a part of it, and I enjoy doing it. Once again, happy Hispanic Heritage Month. By the time this appears, it might be towards the end of that. But like I said on the last show, I like to make sure that we're saluting each other because we all come together to make this nation great. We all come together to make humanity better. And so this is an opportunity to celebrate the contributions of my brown brothers and sisters. Up next is going to be Native American History Month, and so we'll make sure we give a salute for that as well. As much as I can recall and remember, I'll give these tributes. This is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so I've been wearing a little pink so that we can support all of the brothers and sisters. I think men make up, I think it's like 2% of breast cancer cases. My stats might be a little off right now, but you can go and double check that. So yes, men can get breast cancer too. So we want to salute all of those that are researching, helping us to find a cure, fight it. Those of us that are helping to each other to live healthier lives so that we can beat this and be as preventive as possible. Another shout out to all of you that are survivors. We appreciate, we appreciate all the ongoing work that you're doing to make sure that people are understanding that we work together to make sure life is greater. So we want to appreciate and salute you as well. Rochester J and Jamar Suber, Jay Suber, they're still out on location, but they'll be back. I say that everybody's like, what is she hiding? We're not hiding anything. They just have other contracts to fulfill. When people are great, I can't keep them here on this show by myself. I have to let them fulfill other greater parts of their lives. But don't you worry, they will be back. So we're bringing them back off of location shortly, and they'll be back on the show. And so we are once again just delighted that you've joined us for another Greater Day Cafe. Now, we're doing something special today. Well, every day is special for Greater Day Cafe, but this month, there are different titles, different tributes that are assigned to the month, so one month can do a lot of things. This is also a very important month regarding domestic violence awareness. And so we have a special guest that I want to introduce to you. She's joining the cast today. I want to introduce you to Miss Brooke. I want to introduce you to Miss Brooke. Everybody welcome Brooke to Greater Day Cafe.
Welcome, Brooke.
Brooke is visiting us from the Cyprus Institute. Did I get that right?
The Cyprus Initiative.
The Cyprus Initiative, cyprusinitiative.org. So Brooke is visiting us from cyprusinitiative.org. Brooke, thank you for being on the show today. I really appreciate this. So domestic violence it's serious. I don't think we talk about it enough. And whenever we do, it's usually ladies.
Yes.
And we forget that it's important to have the voice of the man in on the conversation. And so this show, we're going to dedicate to making sure that we're doing our part to support all of the efforts to eradicate domestic violence as much as we can, the emotional side of it, the physical side of it. So we're going to lend voice to that today. And we appreciate you being in the show. And then we're going to tie that in to the fact that it's a cycle and helping individuals to break that cycle. So we're going to put all of that on the table today, and you're going to help us. So tell us about the Cyprus Initiative.
The Cyprus Initiative was founded in 2007.
Okay.
And basically we teach what we call the inside-out understanding. And that is, there's a misunderstanding in our culture that outside circumstances are what we experience. But really, we experience our thinking about the outside circumstances.
We experience our thinking about the outside circumstance. I love it. Keep going.
So that's what we teach, and we teach it in a variety of ways. We teach it through domestic violence awareness. We teach it through teen programs that we do in the middle schools and high schools in Hillsborough County.
Okay.
And we teach it through personal coaching and support groups.
So now I'm gonna build on this that you gave us, that what we're really doing in life is responding. There are outside circumstances, and so what you're trying to do is let us know that even though there's an outside circumstances, sometimes we put too much emphasis on that outside instead of what we can do from the inside. That doesn't always change what's sitting there, but we have more options.
It changes how we experience it.
It changes how we experience it. So now connect that to, because I can connect that to a whole bunch right now.
It connects to everything.
It really
it's the
does.
human experience,
it
right?
It really is.
Yeah.
So now let's connect that to domestic violence awareness. What does that mean for individuals that are experiencing that? What are you coaching them to do as it relates to domestic violence?
So if we understand that we're all humans and we all experience life three ways. We have a energy behind life. There's something controlling the background. We were given the power to think and experience what's going on. And we were given the power to be aware of our experiences. So if you're in a situation where there is some sort of violence, whether it be emotional or physical or sexual, whatever violence is occurring, there's always going to be a small voice in your head telling you it's not right. So when I was young, I was in a very emotionally abusive relationship. I didn't have the background or the education on abuse, but I still had that voice. There was still that voice throughout that relationship saying something's not right, to the point where I remember finding a cutout in a magazine, maybe one of those, I don't know, teen magazines, that had the symbols, the signs.
Okay.
That little voice had me cut that out and put it on the refrigerator where I was living with the man that was being abusive.
Yes.
Even though I wasn't acting, I still had that wisdom inside of me.
And what was the sign again?
There were just a list of signs and symptoms of abuse.
Control,
manipulation,
intimidation.
Right. And so even though I didn't have the education, I still had that voice inside of me. So that's really what we teach to kids. We teach it to adults.
That they have that voice,
That they
and that voice is giving you power.
Giving them wisdom.
It's giving you wisdom.
Tell them what to do.
To guide you.
Absolutely.
And
then the second thing we talk about is our thinking.
Okay.
So a lot of people think that their circumstances are determining their experience, and that's really not how it works. We work by our thinking. So one person can be in a very physical, abusive relationship, and they can have thinking, oh no, I'm not doing this, right? And they walk out the door. The other person can be in that same relationship and think,
I deserve this.
I deserve this. He's right. I could never find anything better. And so that's the difference between...
Yes. You're starting from the inside out. This is so powerful because, a lot of times when individuals are in situations like this, if you've never experienced this, you say, oh, that's stupid, that's crazy, just get out, just whatever. But everybody has their own wake up. Everybody has their own shifting here. Everybody has their own moments when they start listening to that inside voice and so forth. Everybody has their moment. On the last show, we were talking about divorce and poverty, right? On that last show. And it's the same thing. You said it earlier. What you're teaching in terms of these principles, it's associated with everything.
Absolutely.
So you can be told in life that this is what you deserve, $5, or this is what you deserve. This is how you live. Our former guest was saying that some people think struggle is the routine. Right. Struggle is your routine. And likewise, individuals have sometimes been programmed that, you know, this weird feeling where we fight, or he calls me this, or she calls me this, it's the norm. That's some of our thinking,
that
right?
Shows me he loves me.
He loves me. Right. So what you're doing is you're helping people.
So we have a phrase that we use a lot throughout all of our programs, and it's, you're only one thought away from a whole new experience of being alive.
Oh my gosh,
Beautiful,
I like
beautiful.
it. I like it. I like it. I like it. You're one thought away
from a whole new experience of being alive.
And what you're doing is not condemning people, making people feel bad that it's your fault, it's this and that. Right. You're just saying, we're reminding you, you've got options and you're one thought away.
And this is for the abuser too. The way the abuser's stuck in their thinking too.
That's right.
Yes,
That's
yes.
right. You know, when I became a college dean several years ago, I did that for a short while, and I really thought that my #1 challenge was going to be facilitating grades, you know, mediations. Somebody doesn't like the teacher. I don't like Miss Smith, you know, I don't like Professor Smith. He's this, she's that. I really thought that was going to be my #1 challenge. So I was all geared up to help mediate students and professors through those different paths, right? Do you know what my #1 problem was? Domestic violence.
Wow.
I was not prepared. It's my #1 problem because it was a little bit in terms of the demographics, in terms of older students, not saying that it's not, it's among all demographics. That's why it's important you're in the middle schools, right? Yes. Right. But my point is that particular institution, it was a bit more, what should I say, announcing, the manifestations of it were a bit more typical in terms of, you know, we could see it, people showing up on campus and, you know, committing acts of violence. So I had a population, a student population, mostly young ladies and young men, but mostly young ladies, I would say maybe 25 and up. And the #1, and most of them were coming back to college. Wow. You know, and I was the dean of the night campus. So most of them were coming back to college. Our #1 problem was domestic violence because their significant other was intimidated.
Starting to feel very insecure.
Feeling very insecure about the fact that now they're getting a degree, they're not going to need me, blah, 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 blah. And then we would see all those stereotypical symptoms. So I had a situation where I had to shut down the campus because one of the significant others had came on campus and attacked a student. I had to shut the campus down, nobody in, nobody out, till we make sure the campus, I'm a college dean.
Wow.
I'm thinking this is about reading a book.
Right, right.
You know,
Education?
What letter grade did you get? But I tell you what, it brought me, it brought me to a place of being very intimate of how this works from the inside out, right? Wow. And so I ended up downtown doing depositions and stuff. Like, I really just didn't know how this was so interwoven. But what you're doing is amazing work.
Into education, you bring up a really good point. I always talk to Georgie is one of our teen mentors and facilitators.
Thanks, Georgie, for introducing Brooke to Greater Day Cafe.
My pleasure.
And I always talk to my staff about education in general. It's one of my passions.
Yes.
But it's the problem in education that we have right now is a state of mind problem.
Yes.
If kids aren't coming to school in the state of mind to learn, then they won't be able to learn. So if we don't address the fact that we are experiencing our thinking, then kids are going to have a problem learning.
Right. And very often, the thoughts we have, they've been given to us. Sometimes they've been passed down from generations, right? We learn them from our uncles, our cousins, and so forth. So we learn thoughts.
We learn thoughts. We have cultural thoughts. That's something we teach in our classes. There are experience thoughts. But we also, the main thing we teach is we can't control our thinking. We can't control what comes in or goes out. And just because you have a thought does not make it true. So we don't have to take it seriously.
And you know what, that's so fundamentally correct. Like, how many times have you said, she doesn't like me, right? She wasn't even thinking about you.
She wasn't thinking about you at all.
Her mind was on, I gotta go get groceries.
Right.
I gotta go get groceries. I gotta go get gas in my car. She didn't even speak to me. She's not even thinking about me. She was trying to take care of something else, right? So just because, and Dad used to say it all the time, you might have a thought or a feeling, but that doesn't mean your feeling is true. He used to say that all the time to us, right?
Absolutely.
So as you're, you know, this is just really remarkable work that you're doing. How do individuals that are experiencing aspects of domestic violence, and you know there's that little voice, like you said, you know there's that little voice that's telling you something's going on.
Right.
Even men.
Absolutely.
There are men experiencing emotional abuse and turmoil from their significant others. What do we do to connect to the Cyprus Initiative?
Just call, email, 813-662-6920.
Say it again.
813-662-6920. Ask for me, and no one's turned away.
No one's turned away?
No one is turned away. We do charge for some of our services, but especially with domestic violence, absolutely, no one is turned away. And it's all confidential.
Now listen, we have survivors that watch the show. If they're in a position to donate, can they donate? Do you accept sponsors?
Absolutely. We are a nonprofit organization, so we are majoritarily funded by private donations.
How many women have you serviced this year? Do you know? You have a count yet or not yet?
We don't have a total count this year, but last year, just for our domestic violence events, we serviced over 100 women.
That's important. Wow. That's 100 lives.
And that doesn't include the work that we do in the schools. And I think that is the most important work, is the work we do with our children, because it is preventative work.
Right. I like that. I was getting ready to mention this. I was listening to a radio broadcast the other day. I can't remember the name, but there's a young lady who was killed by her husband. He killed her and the 2 children. Her sister is an advocate, and she travels around. I'm so sorry I can't remember the name. If I do, I put it on the website when we tag the show. Podcast people, this is your preview. We'll see you. If you want to see the full episode, tune back in. We have to do that. We give them a sneak preview, but then they got to watch the full show later, right? So this particular young lady, she now travels around the country as an advocate. And you know what she talked about? She talked about how the fact that in their family, they never talked about domestic violence, because what they experienced from mom, grandma, they thought it was normal. Right. They thought it was a routine. And so the fact that you're in the schools, I think is amazing, because you're getting individuals at the point that they're learning the routine, that they're learning to accept this thought as their own truth. And you're teaching them that just because it's a thought, it doesn't have to be your truth. And that you have that other voice that's helping you to find a different truth.
Right, absolutely.
Amazing work, Brooke.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Amazing.
Yes. And Georgia, you are a part of it.
Yes.
Tell me quickly, because you know I'm going to get Bishop in to talk about this.
It's going to be good.
So tell me what your role is with this.
I get to go and do a different type of work. You know, I'm that keynote speaker, that motivator. I've done that for years. But with the spark inside, I'm able to mentor and guide students to listen to their own voice and realize the wisdom that they have inside of them.
And that's what you call it, the spark inside.
The spark inside.
That's the name of the program.
Yes, because that innate wisdom inside of them is the spark. So we're able to say, what do you think you should do? And they say, oh, I think I should do this and that. And then they start to see that, oh my gosh, like I have a solution that is possibly better than what anyone else can tell me. And some of the things that I think really speak to abuse, bullying, domestic violence, in just the way that people are always calling the children out their name, or calling them ugly, or calling them, they're talking about their hair and, the B word. And these young people, we can remind them, is that your thought about yourself, or is that someone else's thought about you?
I love it.
They're able to say, you know what? That's their thought. I don't think that way about myself. I am blessed, and I do have gifts, and I do have talents. And you get excited.
I was getting excited when you were just saying. I was about to go into a little clap.
You get really excited in the classroom, and then being able to take them through exercises. And it's a 16-week or more course. We teach and then we sit in small groups for those people who want more.
Yes.
And they talk about how they used to cut themselves, but now they don't take those negative thoughts seriously. And they considered, how to get out of certain bad relationships. And then week after week they do.
I love it.
They start to realize that I am smart. I am talented. Like, wow, I have all this inside of me.
Yes. The
It's amazing.
spark inside. And you're in middle schools.
High schools, and we work mainly in at risk, Bryan Alternative, North Tampa Alternative, DW Waters, South County Career Center. We work in a lot of the at-risk areas mainly because they're not getting a lot of attention and mentorship.
Yes, the access is different.
It is.
Money makes a difference in terms of your access, but what you're doing is you're helping us to figure out that, you know what, we can still make some ways with that. We can still create some bridges. So you're bringing to them what other people might not, what other people might get quicker,
Right.
what's a little bit more accessible. You're making it you're making that accessible to
Right.
them, right?
Right.
I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh, the spark inside.
Yes,
Just because you have a thought
yes,
doesn't mean it's true.
yes. We do not create thoughts, but we can and do select thoughts. We don't create thoughts. Thoughts are out there everywhere. All kinds
They're
of
floating
thoughts are
around.
floating in the atmosphere.
Like air.
But we do have the power to select those thoughts. Now, as a man thinketh, so is he. Whatever becomes your dominant thought, that thought will manifest in your life.
Yes.
And there's also a scripture that says, be ye transformed or reprogram your mind, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that's education. Because if once we're educated about things, now we discover that we have the power to change ourselves. Not only that, but our world is shifting now. And so all of our concerns rather has been based around women, a male or whatever. Now, because our world is shifting now, there are a lot of gay people that are having experiencing domestic violence in their relationships as well. You got two women living together, two men together, and many of those people are beginning to suffer too because abusers are everywhere. When a person becomes an abuser, either they have been abused, but the root of the problem is they don't know who they are.
They don't know who they are.
They don't know who they are. And whenever a person don't know who they are, or who he is or she is, they must define themselves. And so often they define themselves by abusing someone else, by becoming a lord over someone, or controlling someone else. And that gives them a type of purpose and a type of, this is who I am.
Interesting.
And that's a false statement. Because you're better than that.
Yes.
But again, awareness
Yes.
is very important. Until we become aware of these things, we continue that same pattern. So,
No, it's okay.
but we have the power to break that by that with that little still voice on the inside of us. It talks to all of us. Not only that, but the little voice is talking all the time. But what happens is that sometimes it takes something like death. Sometimes it takes a real traumatic experience. Sometimes it takes us getting down to what they call the bottom. And when we're at the bottom, we have no other choice, no other place to go. Now we hear this little voice
Looking for something.
echoing in our hearts and minds.
Yes.
And then there's an ancient proverb says that when the student is ready, the teacher will always appear. You've got to be ready to hear and receive that small voice.
Yes.
You've got to be ready for the education. Sometimes, sadly enough, we have to go through some hard lessons in life before we are ready and willing.
Please don't go to the hard
Don't go
lessons,
to the
y'all.
hard lessons.
Please. We're trying to keep you.
But the positive note is this is what you guys are doing. You guys are starting in the high schools, the middle schools,
Yes.
reprogramming these kids
Yes.
that they can be better. And also, not only just reprogram them, but you're giving them a solution because I believe that every problem carries its own solution. So before it becomes a problem, you're giving them the solution. And that is powerful. That will save them from a great many heartaches, a great many bad days in their life, you know, it also gives them a chance. Because sometimes when a tree is young, you can bend it either way.
Sure. Yeah.
But when that tree ages, it's tough to bend that tree.
More challenging.
Once
Great
something has
analogy.
crystallized, and this is the struggle, once a thought has crystallized, there's a verse that says, the words I speak becomes their spirit and life. So what is a word? A word is nothing more than a spoken thought. And that thought takes on a physical manifestation. There's a proverb that says, we are snared by the words of our mouth, our thoughts, and then we're taken by our thoughts into a manifestation. But what you're doing now, you are giving them a solution. The problem is there. And the power is to be aware of the problem by giving them the solution to the problem. Now they don't have to walk in that door. Now when they're confronted with an abuser, when they're confronted with these different thoughts and ideas, they can say, no, that's not me.
not me.
It's power.
That's not.
Or when you're tempted to now be the abuser.
Yes.
And you raise your hand to strike.
That's right.
You can now say, no,
That's not
that's
right.
not me.
That's not me.
That's not me.
Yeah.
This is great work you're doing. You started to say something earlier. Did it leave? It's gone?
It's gone. That thought's gone.
Okay. That thought, it's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
But
Okay.
I will say that that is our work. Our
Yes.
mission is to cultivate human potential because we
Yes.
truly believe that there's so much
And you're
that
doing
is
a good
not
work.
that is not uncovered, and we do it one thought at a time.
One
Yes,
thought at a
one thought
time.
at a
Oh my
time.
gosh. Listen, the cyprusinitiative.org. If you have a friend, or if you are that friend, and you hear that little spark inside that's telling you, I think I'm different. I think I'm supposed to be experiencing something different. Take advantage of these programs. If you're not in our area, and if you need to email or contact the Cyprus Initiative, I think they've got resources
Absolutely.
around the nation. Yes, they've got resources so they can get you connected to some place that's closer to you if you're not in our local area. We
Yes.
broadcast. Anybody can watch this show from anywhere around the world, and so this is not a local situation. This is global, and
Yes,
it's not
it is
brand
global.
new. We're just getting better at recognizing
Yes.
it. 20, 30 years ago, there was, we didn't have these public discussions. You couldn't even really prosecute individuals, because we were thought, hey, if that's your husband, it's something you did and he has a right and so on and so forth. But we're getting better. Humanity is getting better. We're evolving, as
Yes.
Bishop likes to
Yes.
say.
Yes.
We're evolving. We're coming into a greater awareness. Our consciousness is rising.
Yes.
And we're understanding that there are some other thoughts that we can select. Select
right.
some different thoughts. We're supporting you. We're rooting for you. Our goal is for you to have a greater life, a greater day. I'm so glad you tuned in. So glad you've tuned in. And we'll see you on our next show. Thank you for all of our supporters, all of you that are clicking and watching. This is another one of those broadcasts. Click and watch so you can get this insight
Yes.
deep down on the inside. Thank you so much. We'll see you the next show. Happy Greater Day.
Thank